Hello.
Hi.
I'm Nick, and with me I've got Reece Boswell. We don't have a presentation, and nor do we wish to take up a considerable amount of your time. We'd just like to outline that we're generally supportive of the Council's long-term plan, but we seek to place emphasis on 5 main areas. The first one is the role of the visitor economy and the role it will play as a key driver when the city rebuilds, as well as the strong link between the city's physical recovery and visitor economy that's been outlined in the submission prior to us. The third element is the provision and maintenance of stormwater and wastewater infrastructure in northwest Christchurch and in the general area of the airport. And the next area is the maintenance, long-term maintenance of historical monuments along Memorial Avenue. And the last area that we wish to place further emphasis on is roading and intersection upgrades adjacent to the airport. We have provided further information in our submission, and we would like to provide a time for you to ask us questions, but other than that, I don't have anything else to say.
Great. Look, this wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, we had a submission earlier on today saying, look, put a line in the sand and fix the east, we've had an earthquake, and you say that, that you've had these demands, well, not demands, the requirements of the airport on the table for a long time. But, tell us what the constraint is on your business development plans in terms of these particular ones, because they're hugely expensive items, but not only expensive, disruptive in terms of the roadworks that they entail as well. And there is just such a need to get our infrastructure corrected in the east.
Certainly, Madam Chair, we understand the pressures that the Council is under and the decisions that you
well, it's really the city. The city's under a lot of pressure. But
that's right.
Yeah.
So the airport is served by a line that runs from the airport down Wairakei Road at present. There's only one connection in terms of trade waste or sewer to the airport, and that is that Wairakei Road line. And we also understand that line is being upgraded, but it has capacity issues. So we have had long-term plans, and we understand the Council has had long-term plans to provide, for reasons of additional capacity, redundancy, resilience, etc., a second connection to the airport, and that connection is to be provided by way of the Avonhead Road sewer line. So what we're saying is we've been told for a long time now that the connection will be made. We understand that the earthquake has disrupted that timetable significantly. We just in the decisions that need to be made by Council about that line and about the airport's future connection, we're wanting to emphasise that it's important for the airport's medium to long-term growth that connection is provided.
But I mean, in terms of timetabling,
yes.
You haven't really.
So we have no immediate constraint, if that's the question.
Okay, yeah, that is the question.
Yes. So I'd say in the 0 to 5 year time frame, no immediate constraint. We're okay. Beyond 5 years, a little harder to.
So we could review it at the time of the next long-term plan, which is 3 years' time.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But I would also like to.
Don't say but. Don't say but.
Sorry. There are smaller components of that as well that could be addressed, in simple things such as maintenance of current stormwater facilities like soak pits. Over the last 2 years, in the middle of winter, there has been flooding quite evident on Memorial Avenue, which is, as you know, a gateway to our city, and we think it's important that the infrastructure that's in the ground currently is well maintained.
Yeah, I don't think enough people realise why it is Memorial Ave,
I would agree.
Yeah. Who had their hand up here? Tim.
Just with the promise or the assurance of a second line, is that specifically for your commercial expansion, or because I mean the airport as the gateway is functioning now, and it has a functioning sewer, stormwater, etc. So are you saying that in the next 3 to 5 years, as you increase the commercial areas, that will obviously have to increase? So I'm just trying to establish, is there?
No, so it's not a product of what you're calling commercial development. I'd just like to say that commercial development is intrinsically linked with what you might consider to be traditional core functions of the airport. They go hand in hand, but no, they're really the discussions with council date back many years, well over 10 years, well before the development of Dakota Park and that southeast precinct. They're really most of the trade waste or sewer that's produced from the airport is passenger terminal related. The more commercial activities that are now being developed at the airport don't produce much trade waste at all. There's not a lot of, they're typically big sheds with a lot of stuff stored in them and a handful of staff that manage that stuff. There's not a lot of trade waste component.
Okay, thank you.
Yanni?
Thank you for your submission. I was just really interested in page 4 around the flooding. You say free from health and safety issues associated with flooding. And I was just wondering if you could just help me understand, has this been kind of a post-earthquake recent thing, or was this happening for many years? And when you say health and safety, what are the issues that you're actually talking about?
When the flooding becomes a problem on Memorial Avenue and traffic has to divert or swerve around puddles or flooding close to Orchard Road and around Memorial Avenue.
And there's some pedestrian impacts as well. So there are a couple of, and you probably all have at times skirted those puddles yourselves in wet conditions, that immediately adjacent to Memorial Avenue State Highway 1 roundabout, which is probably being addressed in part of the State Highway 1 project. But the next intersection, 2 or 3 sumps along Memorial Avenue, typically on the left-hand side as you're approaching the terminal precinct, and they flood, they cause ponding, vehicles swerve, and equally they cause damage to the city's footpath network, and pedestrians try and avoid that as well. So,
is that a result of like the earthquakes and a lot of recent development, or is that something that's been historical?
oh look, I would say it's not directly earthquake related. They're soak pits that need to be refreshed from time to time. That's the nature of them. Sediment builds up. They need to be cleared out and allow for freer drainage. I don't think they're necessarily a product of the earthquake. Pardon me?
No,
No,
the surface area that the sumps are catering for is exactly the same. It's Memorial Avenue.
They're just draining Memorial Avenue. Yeah.
I think we might have to put a work notice through on, Carlene's been taking notes of these ones, but yeah, that's very good. Phil?
Sorry, I might have missed it. I wasn't quite sure of the frequency of the flooding. Like, clearly a year ago we had massive rainstorms.
Yes.
So how frequent is that issue happening? How often?
It's been certainly every year when we have significant rainfall events. Like, I couldn't say.
I've driven through it. I mean, coming back from Wellington, as I used to frequently, it has been happening for a long time.
Yes, so certainly last year everywhere was flooded, but no, it's much more frequent than just those sort of one every 10-year events.
So is it more than an annual?
Oh, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that we'll just make a note of that, because I think that's probably something that can just go on the work program without bothering the LTP.
Sure.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you for doing the Spitfire too. Love that Spitfire.